A historic vote. Congress moves on the Epstein Files. On 18 November 2025, the U.S. House of Representatives passed the Epstein Files Transparency Act in a near-unanimous vote of 427-1. Later that day, the U.S. Senate agreed by unanimous consent to pass the measure as soon as it is formally transmitted from the House, thereby sending it to the President for signature. The thrust of the legislation: compel the Department of Justice, DOJ, to publicly release unclassified files, documents, communications, and investigative materials related to Jeffrey Epstein, his associates, notably Ghislaine Maxwell, and the investigations and prosecutions surrounding them. Key provisions include a requirement that the Justice Department make available all unclassified records concerning Epstein's case in a searchable, downloadable format. Exceptions exist. Any sensitive personal information of victims, active investigations, or material that would jeopardize ongoing law enforcement or privacy interests may be withheld. The bill passed without amendments in the Senate, meaning the House version goes straight to the President. Why now? Political pressure meets public demand. The momentum for this bill reflects years of public outcry and legislative pressure. Many survivors of Epstein's abuse and advocates have long sought full transparency, not just partial disclosures. The bill's passage signals a rare bipartisan consensus. Both parties overwhelmingly supported it, with only one dissenting vote in the House. It also highlights tensions within the GOP and between congressional Republicans and the Trump White House. According to reporting, the White House tried to stave off the vote and delay transmission of the bill to the Senate. The context is important. Epstein died in 2019 while in custody. His case and network of associates have long been under scrutiny, and many believe that powerful individuals may have been involved or recorded in investigations. The demand for document release taps into public mistrust of institutional cover-ups. The Trump factor, from opposition to signature. President Trump had long resisted full disclosure of Epstein-related materials, at times calling the controversy a hoax. However, as the bill moved inexorably toward passage, the White House signaled a reversal. The president stated that he intended to sign the bill if it comes to his desk. Why the shift? Possible factors include: the near-unanimous congressional vote left little room for rejection or veto, without major political cost. Public sentiment and survivor advocacy made delay or refusal risky for the president's standing. Internal GOP dynamics. Some Republicans defied Trump's earlier reluctance and forced the issue via a discharge petition mechanism in the House. What happens next, and what it means? With both chambers of Congress having passed the bill, the final step is for it to be transmitted to the president and then signed into law. Once signed, the DOJ will have 30 days, per the bill's text, to release the unclassified files. If the president were to veto the bill, Congress could attempt to override the veto with a 2/3 majority in both chambers. But given the vote margins, that appears feasible, though politically fraught. Implications: transparency and accountability. The law could expose hitherto secret materials about Epstein's associates, flight logs, financial records, plea agreements, immunity deals, and government handling of the case. It may also implicate prominent individuals. Victims' rights versus privacy justice concerns. Opponents, including one House member who voted against the bill, argued that broad releases risk revealing identities or harming innocent individuals, witnesses, alibis, family members, and interfering with justice procedures. Political fallout. The congressional action exposed divisions in the Republican Party, challenged presidential influence over legislative agenda, and may reshape voter perceptions of trust and accountability. The fact that the White House tried to manage or delay the process adds a layer of drama. Legal operational considerations for DOJ. Once law, the DOJ must assess what portion of the records can be released, how to redact sensitive items, how to make the data searchable, and how to handle any still active investigations. Compliance will be complex. Broader precedent. This law could set a precedent for future demands of transparency in major investigations involving powerful individuals or institutions. Challenges and open questions. Scope of release. Unclassified is the key term. Some materials may remain classified, withheld, or heavily redacted due to ongoing investigations, privacy, national security, or executive privilege. It may not be full disclosure of every document in DOJ's vault. Timing and transmission. Formal steps matter. Though the Senate agreed to pass the bill by unanimous consent, the House still needed to transmit it. Delays in formalities could push back implementation. Presidential action. Trump signaled willingness but remains a wildcard. His past posture on Epstein and his shifting positions mean watchers will be vigilant. Use of documents. What legal or political consequences will follow release? Will names and evidence spark renewed prosecutions or civil suits? Will powerful individuals face accountability? Impact on victims and privacy. Ensuring the release doesn't re-traumatize victims or expose them improperly will be a major test. Critics fear that broad disclosure may inadvertently harm people who were never charged or implicated. Conclusion. The passage of the Epstein Files legislation marks a notable moment in U.S. legislative history. A cross-party push for transparency, even amid presidential reticence and internal party friction. The fact that the bill will head to the president's desk signifies both the strength of congressional will and the political pressure surrounding the mysteries of Jeffrey Epstein's case. If signed into law, the next 30 days and beyond will be critical as to how much of the truth becomes public, how the DOJ manages disclosure, and how the revelations affect public trust, institutional accountability, and perhaps legal outcomes. For now, the key date is when the bill arrives at the White House and when the president signs it into law. Meanwhile, the promised transparency will enter its implementation phase, and the country will watch closely.